Welcome back, you guys, to the Beyond the Wrestling Gear podcast, where we don't just talk about wrestling, we go beyond wrestling. So today I'm here with combat MMA announcer, wrestling ring announcer, and tough man announcer, Bill Hazelwood. Welcome, Bill.
David, how are you, buddy? I'm doing great. Before you even asked if I was any better, I'd be twins. And I know that you are on top of the game, on top of your world. Am I right?
Oh yeah, oh yeah, man. Like ever since we met at River City, I've just been so invested in your journey and the fact that we spoke a little bit there and here just a little while ago. Really speaks volumes about your character and about yourself and about your career. So to get things started, how did you begin your road into the business?
Well, like everybody, I was a wrestling fan. I grew up in the middle of damn nowhere outside of Bluefield, West Virginia, born in 1962. So in the early 70s, we had three channels and two were snowy. So Channel 6, which is an NBC affiliate, somehow had an agreement or got bought or something. And the original Sheik out of Detroit, the real Sheik, Ebony Foo and all that stuff, they bicycled their tape to Bluefield, West Virginia. They never came there. Okay, but so I got hooked on wrestling that way. Fast forward 30 years, 40 years old, met a young man named Dirty. His name's Ernest Robinson. And I said, man, you look like a pro athlete. And he said, well, I'm a professional wrestler. Well, I didn't laugh like most people do. And so he said, are you a wrestling fan? I said, absolutely, man. I started dropping damn names like you couldn't believe, Fanfiro Furpo and Ed and jumping, Flying Fred Curry and Bull Curry, how Bull was a heel and Fred was a baby, but it was really father and son, and everybody knew that. And I knew that Lord Athol Leighton was the Sheik's color commentary guy. And man, he just lit up like a glowworm. And then he told me about American Pro Wrestling in Spartanburg, South Carolina, which is about 30 minutes from me. So I lit up like a glowworm. I went, really? So I thought it was, oh shit, man, it's going to be a coliseum and a blah, 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 blah. And he took me up there as a guest. And like you and I were speaking before we went on air, I looked around this little shithole building, church pews, but it had lights and sound and cameras. And Chief J. Eagle, Jerry Bragg, was the promoter. And come to find out, he was friends with Wahoo McDaniel. And that night, Bobby Eaton was there. So, I found out that Jerry Bragg had networked around over the years and worked with everybody. So he called me a couple weeks later because I've been in sales and marketing all my life. And I like to talk in case you hadn't noticed that 3 minutes in. I could have said a whole bunch of nothing. He said, man, Ernest said you're quite the talker. He said, would you like to come up and be part of the show? And I said, as the ring announcer? He says, no, as the APW president. I said, what? And then, of course, he
Mm.
smartened me up, told me it was a work. He said, we got a little TV show. He said, have you got a nice suit? I said, I got a bunch of damn nice suits. I've been a salesman all my life. So first night out, man, hell, he had me on TV. And I thought I knew a lot about the wrestling business because I'd watched it for 30 years. In Bluefield, Atlantic Championship Wrestling made the towns, okay? And we were one of the out towns. They didn't tour there every week, but they came there every month to the Brush Fork National Guard Armory outside of Bluewell, West Virginia. And me and my young wife at the time would go every month. So we got to be friends with Earl and David Hebner, the referees. Ole Anderson was the booker. I saw Ric Flair, all that, saw him all the time. Actually took a vacation in 1982, came down to the old TBS Superstation, was on TV, blah, 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 blah. Fast forward till I got into wrestling business. I didn't know shit about the wrestling business. Nothing. Psychology. I go back and watch some of the videos and I sucked. I mean, I was horrible. But there were guys there that did things for me that they didn't have to do. There was one in particular, I tell you, his name is Boomer Payne, is his work name. He's from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And he must have saw something in me because Jerry ran every week. So he had some of the most amazing storylines, which is a lost art in the independent circuit of the world, because he would get those people to come back every week, 100, people, and they pulled me into storylines and they taught me how to take a bump and they taught me how to do this. And then after about 3 or 4 months, they turned me into a heel president. And holy shit, then shit got real interesting real quick. I could talk more trash than a damn Chinese radio. And Jay said, "Man, we got to build a faction around you. These people are going to wonder why we're not beating your ass on a weekly basis because you're 170 pounds and we're pro wrestlers." So we had the click before there was the click, and we would guys would want to join, and we would stomp them down and kick them out, and some of them and welcome them in, and then other ones would just kick to the curb. So the storylines that he did kept me there as long as it did, because one time Boomer and I had some little confrontation, and he drugged me in the ring and put my head in a chair and dropped a knee on me. Of course, it's a work. And he said, "Whatever you do," he says, "just lay there." Jerry knew that two of the local ambulance guys were wrestling fans, so he had rigged where the ambulance was going to come and get me. It was the end of the show. I laid there 27 minutes and not a single fan left. They took me out. They took me out in an ambulance. I go to the local flea market and buy a wheelchair, and I started parking 2 blocks away and rolling up in my wheelchair to kayfabe people, because I heard a long time ago, Vince exposed the business, but the key was, as Ole Anderson used to say, they're not going to believe all of it, but they're going to believe some of it. And if you can make them believe a little bit, he said, they'd always come up to me and go, "Oh man, I know this shit's fake, but you and Gene just beat the hell out of those guys." And he said, "We really did. We were tight, we were stiff, and everybody knew that, but he knew it was a work." So I started rolling up in the wheelchair, and I had turned baby back at that time. And we started thinking of ideas. What could we do to push this along? So there was a stage there. So they come out and they threw me off the stage, rolled me off in the wheelchair, beat me up some more. Fans almost riding, just foaming at the mouth to get to these guys. And it went on for like 7 weeks in an independent show every week. So Boomer calls me and he says, "What can we do to get more heat?" I said, "Well, last week I told people the good news because Jerry was kind of wanting us to end the angle." I said, "I told everybody I'm getting better. I'm trying to stand up out of the wheelchair, but I fell back down, blah, blah, blah." I said, "I know what I'll do." I said, "I got a friend in the medical supply business. I'll buy a colostomy bag and fill it full of the pea colored Gatorade, and I'll tape it on." And I said, "And you get on the mic and say, 'Hey, Bill Hazelwood, blah blah blah. I'm not sorry I put you in the wheelchair. As a matter of fact, we wish we'd have killed you. Jim Cornette kind of shit. Just whatever.'" And he said, "I heard you weren't getting better. I heard you were getting worse." So he rips my shirt off, and there's the colostomy bag, and he takes it and pours it on me, and people think he's pouring piss on me, and it almost caused a riot. I mean, it was unbelievable heat that we were able to generate with those simple storylines. And Jerry, I've noticed over the years, he stopped running personally himself about 3 years ago. He would get guys like me out of the audience, give them a platform. They either worked out or they didn't. There's a local guy here named Ken Magnum, the Loaded Gun, just phenomenal athlete, been in the business over 20 years. Jerry got him out of the audience. Okay, so he was great at spotting people, and he just recycled these bullshit storylines with different people. And he told me one time, he said, "Somebody invented the headlock." He said, "Somebody invented the collar and elbow tie up." He said, "Of course you don't want nobody doing your finisher on the same show." He said, "But ain't nothing in wrestling new." He said, "You just find shit that works and stick with it." Because I asked Jim Cornette one time, I said, "Jimmy," I said, "how did y'all work back in the day with the rock and roll?" I said, "Y'all were working 9 times a week." He said, "Well, we tried shit. If it worked, we kept doing it till the crowds got smaller. Then we stopped." He said, "We tried shit. If it didn't work, we stopped right away." He said that was the problem in indie wrestling now. He said guys will do shit and it ain't working. They'll do the same shit again and it still ain't working. So I've been very blessed to be around that simple philosophy, but also with some of the most brilliant minds in the industry on shows. And I'm very non-fan acting. I'm not starstruck. I'm not a mark, which is okay because it is what it is. And I've just treated these guys like normal guys, and they've always talked to me and smartened me up. And I think to me that's probably priceless. Could I transition that right over into tough man, which are the local guys? Those are the guys like, say your brother thinks he's a badass and he wants to fight. Well, he signs up. Okay, we bring him out. The athletic commission weighs him, gives him a physical, gives him a breathalyzer, make sure he's not going to do nothing stupid. But we put big headgear on him and giant gloves and groin protection. We've got everything protecting these damn guys except kryptonite. But everybody's got a plan until they get punched in the mouth. So I recognize that's still entertainment. So my role in that thing is I'm on the
Mhm.
microphone, for lack of a better word, talking pure shit for 3.5 hours because once they get hit, they're not motivated to fight anymore. So I'm talking shit and I'm working the crowd and I'm pulling the crowd in and I'm talking them back tomorrow night.
You gotta do.
Without wrestling, I don't think I would have made it in the tough man world. Without wrestling, I don't think I'd have made it in the MMA world because I tell people this: Vince exposed the business decades ago. Okay. So everybody knows what it is. So I try to explain to these young guys professional football, unless you're betting on it, it's nothing more than entertainment. It's multimillionaires fighting over a damn leather ball. Okay. So is basketball. So is baseball. It's all entertainment. And what you do if you watch a good sporting event, they do the same thing wrestling does. I don't know if you're a big NASCAR fan, but when your driver gets in the lead,
I do watch it.
5,000 people rise out of their seat when he comes around in that damn circle that he's
Ye
made 150 fucking times or just turning left. Okay. And they sit back down and they rise back up and they sit back down. And when somebody passes somebody, they boo. And the other part of the arena cheers. So I tell people that our goal as wrestlers or entertainment or talent or whatever you want to call it is to have people leave their problems, which everybody has, at home, or to leave them in the car, or to at least leave them at the door and come in and be so entertained that they forget about their problems. And they forget about their problems so much that they want to come back next time and forget about them again. It really is that simple. So they want to be entertained and they don't care about who, even if it's a loudmouth, washed up, old has been announcer. So it's my escape from reality. So what I try to do is turn it into the fans' escape from reality. Does that make sense?
I love it. I love that. I mean, that's just me with conventions, just in general. Like I go there and I forget about actual life and I feel like I'm in a place where I can, relax and enjoy myself and surround myself with good people and network and,
Sure.
just have a good time,
Well, you've got
you
a great
know?
sense of humor. You and I talk down there and all this. You laughed at my shitty jokes and all this other stuff. So to put that in perspective, I tell people you've got a huge advantage. You've got the chair. Okay. You've got your disability. There's a little kid that comes to the gathering in Charlotte and he's blind, but he's brilliant. Okay. He remembers you by his voice from last year. He goes, "Hey, you're Bill the announcer, or whatever." And he gives out these little cards to wrestlers and stuff and all this. And his dad brings him. So after doing the convention in Charlotte for a number of years, I started messing with him. I said, "Oh, hell, man, you still working that damn blind gimmick, getting you up close to these wrestlers and stuff." And he just cracks up, but he is blind. So, I find the people that can take a joke and then I run with it. You see what I'm saying? Because a lot of people are standoffish. Oh my God, he's blind. Is he? What's he gonna do? But he's just blind. That's all. But now he can his sense of hearing and his sense of everything are extremely intensified. So I go to those shows and those types of people are there, and everybody's kind of ignoring them, and I'm just drawn to them. Because everybody's afraid that, they're going to hurt their feelings or maybe they're going to catch something. It's bullshit. I mean, they're the greatest fans there are. I mean, it just really is. So I just have a different perspective. And pulling back the curtain, the guys in the business, I show up, I get in the ring, I do what I do, I get paid, and I get out. I don't hang out with the boys. I don't do any of that. So none of them, especially in the indie world, they don't know Bill Hazelwood the man. They know Bill Hazelwood the character, which is nothing like Bill Hazelwood the man. Nothing. Nothing. It couldn't be further opposite. I just have a different take on it. I'm 63, learned a lot in 63 years, passed on a little knowledge or whatever. It's just, again, my escape from reality, but my way to bond with fans and see fans again and stuff like that never gets old. Wrestling, and announcing and what I do, it's almost like the damn mafia. You get in, you fucking can't never get out. So, I've told my better half several times because I had a heart attack 5 years ago and had a stent put in on medication. I'm not near the man I was, 25 or 30 years ago. So I think I'm going to retire. Because you're not going to retire. Because some days I feel awful. I have AFib and I can't walk 5 feet and I just feel like shit. And I'll give you an example. We had to drive to Dothan, Alabama to do a tough man. Well, I had AFib all the way down there. Had AFib that night. Damn, I caught fucking pink eye. Okay. I don't know where I caught that. I always the
Oh,
joke was you got that from kissing a pig. But when I was growing up in West Virginia. But had to go to the doctor the next day. Dothan, Alabama's hotter than St. Augustine. Cockroaches big enough to eat a mouse. So I go to the doctor and he gives me these drops. And he looks at me and goes, "Yeah, you got pink eye." I go, "I know that. Just write me the damn prescription and take this $100." That night I'm back in the ring because it's the job. Years ago, Tina Turner, Viking Tina Turner fame, and then later Tina Turner fame, did an interview and said they said they had brought up, how abusive Ike was and the past and all this other stuff, and they said, "Why do you still do what you do?" She said, "Cause," she said something like it's her escape from reality. She said also, she said the fans don't pay to see Tina Turner that just got her ass beat. They don't pay to see Tina Turner that's having her monthly cycle. They don't pay to see Tina Turner that's tired. She said they pay to see Tina Turner. And she said I have hurt from the bottom of my feet to the top of my head, but when I go through that curtain, I'm the Tina Turner they paid to see. And I kind of try to use that same philosophy. When I go through the curtain, I turn it on. And you've never seen me transform. I was down there, vendor wise, helping out all that other stuff. But I told Nick his show is phenomenal. The venue's great. His announcers. He said, "What do you think about my announcers?" I said, "They're good, but they couldn't follow me, and they can't." I mean, if he gave me a microphone, it would have been over, But I wasn't there to bury nobody, so I transform into this character that nobody's ever seen. They go, "Holy shit, man, who is this guy?" So I've kind of recognized my role over the years, transitioned into it. The good thing about traveling with the tough man is I joke and say I got 12 shitty jokes, but I'm in a different town each time, so different audience, same jokes, same funniness. So that's kind of the deal. But as you can see, I could babble on forever, man. We've been going 19 minutes and I've said
yeah.
nothing.
No. Oh, you said so much that's so incredible. Like I'm just listening here and just visualizing like your life in general, and you've gone through so much. And then one of the things I wanted to ask you is how do you prepare yourself mentally for like a show? You know,
I don't.
so you
I just turn it on. See, I was in the sales business. Well, I'm still in the sales business, but I was in the real sales business for about 12 years. I was the number one sales trainer in America. You learn a routine or whatever, and you get brilliant on what they call. I call it. I used to do a motivational speech in a training seminar called "Brilliant on the Basics," and I tied that in because Ricky Morton talks about. They call it the Ricky Morton sell. All he's doing is selling. Okay. So I was stuck in traffic one time. Sadly, an 18 wheeler guy had had a heart attack and ran across the interstate, hit a big tree and a lump of trees and passed away. So it had 4 lanes of traffic closed. So I called the promoter and I said, "Man, I found an alternative route, but I got to back up on the shoulder of the interstate for a quarter of a mile without getting caught by the damn police and arrested." And I said, "I'll make the alternative route." I said, "But it's showing me getting there right as the show was starting." I said, "Write me out a card. I'll stop somewhere." So I stopped at a restroom somewhere, put on my tuxedo, got out of the car, walked through the dressing room. He handed me the card. He said, "Are you ready?" I said, "Watch." And I went right through the curtain. And there it was. There was Bill Hazelwood, the character. So it's just become second nature for me, which I'm very blessed with that. So found something that works, and I just, Jim Cornette said, "I'll run the shit till the wheels fall off." So the promoters that get me. A lot of guys don't like my style, which is fine because I can't work for everybody. But the ones who get me, I've been doing the Tough Man promotion with the same guy for 18 years. We draw 2 or 3,000 people a night. Okay, I worked with Ricky Nelson, who's probably the greatest independent promoter in the world. He draws 1,200, 1,500 to independent shows, knows how to work a town, been with him forever. And the guys that go, hey, man, I want you to stand in the corner and announce. We're trying to do something special here. We're trying to do a production. No, you're not. No, you're not putting the shit on YouTube for free in 2 weeks. It's nothing fucking special, and it ain't a production. Here's the microphone. Find you somebody to do that because I'm not your guy. I'm not your guy. The people that get me, give me a microphone and get the hell out of the way. That's exactly what they do. And what they do is people say, why do you get out of the way? He goes, shit, man, I don't have to do anything. Bill knows his job. The tough man is our front man is Butterbean, Eric Ice. Okay, he's at every show signing autographs, taking pictures, and they did a newspaper write up about me. We did it locally here one time, and this Eric said, "Hey man, Bill just gets it." He said it's just second nature. He said there's a lot of great announcers out there. He said Bill entertains the crowd better than the fighters. So it just when you get a compliment like that, shit, man, consider the source. An indie promoter with 70 people in the damn crowd telling me to stand in the corner, or Butterbean, who's fought at WrestleMania, beat the damn brakes off of Bart Gunn and been all over the world, says, "Hey, Bill's good." Who am I gonna fucking believe? So it is what it is. The promoters are allowed their
Yeah,
opinion, but it is what it
exactly.
is. So, and see, that's what makes me the most hated guy in the business. A lot of times, I speak my mind. So it's a little different concept.
I mean, like you just mentioned, sometimes it's a good thing, sometimes it's a bad thing, depending on the circumstance. But with you, they trust you enough where they give you the microphone and they're like, you know what? We'll let this guy do what he does because obviously he knows how to work magic.
Well, the key is this: it's all about the fans. People don't get that. It's like guys calling spots. All right, you call 50 spots in the back. What if you're going to do if the shit don't work? When the talent's not bringing it, hell, I got to step up my game. We got to give them a reason to come back. And it don't really make a damn if it's that goofy ass announcer. It's that goofy ass announcer. I'm not here to. There's a guy here, and he's a phenomenal dude. He's with the NWA right now. His name is Michael Cole. His work name is Michael Judas. He's the man
Okay.
called Frank now at NWA. Austin Idol is his manager. I've known him for 20 some years, rode to plenty of shows with him. He told me one time, he said, if an announcer or a referee can take my shine, he said, I need to get the hell out of the business. He said, if a referee or an announcer can take something from me that I can't get back, Bill Hazelwood's trying to take these boys to shine. He said, what kind of bullshit is that? He said, ain't no referee or an announcer going to outshine me. He said, what you do when you shine, he said, hell, I step my game up. He said, that's the way it's supposed to work. Because, we were at I think it was the Mid Atlantic Legends Fan Fest in Atlanta one year, and Terry Funk was there. And I asked him, and when he starts talking, everybody gathers around. And he said, if you watch WWE, and it's even more prevalent now, he said, if you watch WWE, everybody's kayfabing during the matches. He said, the indie guy is ringing the bell. He said, fuck, he just drove somebody to the arena that night because the wrestler didn't have a driver's license. He said, the indie guy, the damn bell ringer's watching the match. You got to elbow him and shit to make him ring the bell. He said, why not sell the bell? He said, the referee's counting to two. You draw the hammer back. Okay, because the crowd go, wow, you're selling the bell. You know, he said, color commentators. He said, all you got to make the shit real is believe what you're watching while you're watching it. He said, if all of us that are part of the crew and the workers, if we all suspend reality, they'll suspend reality. But he said, one idiot can fuck it up for everybody, and that's what usually happens. So if anybody listening as a promoter wants to learn that, look at your bell ringer. Teach him how to work. Teach him how to work the bell, because that's his job. Okay? Teach the referee how to count. One, two. That's his job. I tell people when I go out to do the opening, I always walk around the ring once or twice. And I point to people and I got a joke, hey man, when did you get out of prison? Oh my God, I see you're still wearing the ankle bracelet. Just bullshit, just to pull the crowd in. Like Ric Flair used to say, oh, shut up, fat boy. Well, he ain't talking to nobody. He's just talking. The fat guy thinks he's talking to him. But then I'll go to the back And I'll tell the guys, I go, hey man, the right side of the ring is hot. Sometimes they'll go, I go, oh shit, this boy's going to need some help because I tell people it's real simple. You and I lock up. You're the heel. You drag me to the hot side of the ring. You gouge me in the eyes. You just say, "Shut up, old woman." Hell, if she reacts, you drag me to the other side of the ring. You gouge me in the damn eyes again, and you say, "Shut up, old man." If they react, you drag me to the other damn side, and you do all four sides of the ring. Now, if they're all hot, it's going to be an easy night. If one side's hot, okay, you either work that side of the thing or you try to pull the rest of the crowd in. But I've seen guys do that. They'll find a hot side of the ring. Next thing you know, he's throwing his ass out on the other side of the ring. Well, goddamn, throw him out where the crowd's hot. You see what I'm saying? They'll get the other part of the crowd hot. So it's a simple scenario. It's not easy because you get out there, you get lost, you call a bunch of shit, you can't remember. Don't call a bunch of shit. Call it in the ring. But what do I know? I'm just an old washed up loudmouth announcer.
Speaking about, like selling everything and just doing what you have to do when you get to the ring, hot side, cold side. Obviously, we're talking about the hard cam, and then I wanted to ask you, what are your thoughts about MJF?
Oh, you talking about of aid?
Yeah, Maxwell Jacob Friedman.
Fuck,
What
the
do you think
best
about
talker
him?
in the world right now. Period. Period. The end. Next question. But and looks good. Okay, he's bulked up since he came back. What I've heard about behind the scenes is a different story. But he's young. Okay, what they need to do is like they used to in the old days. Heard that Randy Orton had a little bit of an attitude when he first came in because his granddaddy was a wrestler, his dad's a wrestler. Randy went AWOL in the military. He'll tell you the same story, so I'm not exposing the business or
Yeah.
anything. But that,
Yeah, I've seen the
yeah, he had a little
documentary.
bit of an
It's
attitude. And the
okay.
old timers went to him and said, hey, man, you got to understand, you know what the word work means? Me and you work together. If nobody will fucking work with you, you won't have a job. Okay. So they said that MJF's a little cocky or what. Well, great. But somebody needs to jerk a knot in his ass, is what they need to do, just like they used to in the old days, because he is a fucking cash register in the right situation. The
Yeah.
problem is, and I don't want to go off in the weeds about this shit, is Tony Khan don't know anything about the wrestling business. Tony Khan was Bill Hazelwood 20 years ago. He's a fan. I'm going, I got the wrestling business. I got a bunch of money. That's a big difference between me and him. He had a bunch of money. But these guys are telling him what he wants to hear to get his money, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. Okay. Because they're workers. They're working him. Okay. But MJF is fucking printing money. I mean, he's a game changer. Okay. I mean, shit talking wise, not quite as good as The Rock yet because he's still young. But I get the fact guys don't like him because he's getting a push or whatever. But he's putting asses in seats. Got the look, got the ring, got the shit, got it all. He got it all. But he's just young. That's all. He'll come around. He'll come around. I mean, he'll get it, or he'll make a bunch of money and get out of the business. But he's one of a kind, which is hard to be in the wrestling business. But I can't compare him to nobody. And I don't think if I'm wrong, you tell me somebody you think he compares to, and why.
That's a good
You see what I'm
question. I
saying?
mean,
He's as
if I could,
unique as it can be in an ununique business. Because like you and I discussed before, there ain't shit that ain't been done before. And there's been shit talkers before, but he realizes that. I mean, man, I think that's one of the reasons that CM Punk got frustrated down there. CM Punk is gold on the stick, but he fucking couldn't follow that kid. He can't. And that's my
no,
humble opinion.
I mean, we're talking about a whole evolution of just the storylines and the way you speak. Like, there's a lot more, like with MJF coming up. You have a lot access to a lot more technology, opportunities to develop even
Right.
more. Um, and with that, MJF's taken his ball and just rolling with it.
And I think he's in the right place. I think he needs to stay at AEW. I think they paid him a lot of money, paid him enough money, because I'll evolve into this. People ask me all the time, they'll go, why are they pushing Roman Reigns and the bloodline? Do you want to hear the Bill Hazelwood theory?
Go
And
for
then
it.
I'll tell you why I know it's the truth, because I talked to Roman's first cousin at the gathering 3 years ago, and he laid the last 3 years out to me 3 years ago to the letter. They're committed. Peter Maivia, WWE. The Wild Samoans, WWE. The Rock, Dad, Rocky Johnson, WWE. Rikishi, WWE. The Usos. They've never took their ball and went nowhere else. They can count on these guys. They've been there for 7 decades. They were committed to Vince's dad. Okay, they were committed to Vince McMahon. Now they're committed to Triple H. Now they've got the greatest talker in the damn world in the history of time behind Bobby Heenan. Of course, I know, Paul Heyman's going to tell you he's the greatest and fuck Bobby Heenan. That's all it work. He couldn't carry Bobby Heenan's jock strap. Okay, so, but he's the second greatest guy in the world, right? He's the greatest guy in the business right now. Don't get me wrong. But that's why they go, oh, the shit's working, ain't it? It's a 3 year storyline.
It
It's a
is.
3 year storyline. All I got to do is change a couple of Samoans around, and now Seth's in on the shit with Paul Heyman. They pulled Brock Lesnar into the thing. Okay, Brock wanted to take his ball and go home and spend some more time on the farm. Fuck it, we'll just plug somebody in behind you. See, that's the key that people don't get with WWE is it's a machine. Okay, and the Samoans are the prime example. So they've taken that example, and if you go down to NXT, the type of wrestler that they're building, which is what they're doing, they're just molding these people, is once somebody gets upset or somebody's contract or whatever, they can just plug it back in. Okay, because here's the key. Guess who the second most unique guy in the business is right now? R-Truth, Ron Killings. No, Ron
Right.
Killings reminds you of nobody. And Jerry Bragg got him his start in Spartanburg, South Carolina. Kid Quick or K Quick or whatever the hell his name. Thought he could rap, couldn't rap, got in a little trouble. Legally, Jerry went to court, promised to train him to wrestle, and he did, and blah blah blah, and all this other stuff. But that's why it worked. Okay, R-Truth at this time in history, okay, he's unique. Can't nobody do what he does because Triple H ran with it the other night. Trying to work everybody. Say, oh, we didn't fire him. Yeah, y'all fucking did, whatever. But he said, this is the guy that got lost in catering for 3 weeks. How the fuck do you make that work? You see what I'm saying? He had an invisible friend. Okay. He convinced himself he's John Cena. Just dumb shit. Okay. But it worked. So now he comes back. He's the polar opposite. Okay, and he's smart because they brought him back, and he's going to say, "Well, I'm coming back as Ron Killings because y'all not keeping the name R-Truth if y'all don't renew this damn contract." He's smart enough to realize that when it's time to move on, he's going to take Ron Killings with him, which is his real name. But he's the second most unique character right now in the wrestling business. Period. The end. Everybody kind of reminds you of somebody. Nobody, in my opinion, right now is doing anything special to make themselves stand out other than MJF and Ron Killings. The bloodline story is what it is. It's just printing money. They're gonna run that shit till the space shuttle explodes again because they've got 28 more Samoans just like them,
It's
backed
on
up for 4 generations. Triple H kid will be running shit, and they'll be running this storyline. But uniqueness, which is hard to find in the pro wrestling business, is Ron Killings right now and MJF, in my opinion.
Now let me ask you this. I've been hearing rumblings about TKO possibly pushing Triple H out of WWE. Do you think it'll happen?
Depends on how it's structured. Triple H got a bunch of stock. You see what I'm saying? I don't think that's going to happen because TKO's $3 billion in debt. Now, that's not a bad thing. You can't explain business to non-business minded people. Okay, they bought the WWE for whatever it was, 7, 8, $9 billion, whatever, and they knew that they was going to go down, so they're taking a $3 billion tax write-off. Is what they're doing. Okay, but I think 100% that's a rumor. I always used to joke this, and of course, people, this is the rumor now, but I said this 5 years ago. I said, what's going to happen is, I said, imagine this. Vince sells WWE and gets his shares $4 or $5 billion, which it is. Okay, let's pretend it's $5 billion because I think he owns 52%. So he got $5 billion. Okay, TKO don't know how to run a fucking wrestling company. They're stealing ideals right now, which we'll get to in a second. It doesn't work. Vince is about to pass away. Who's his heirs? Triple H, Stephanie. He gives them the money. He gives them the
So most
money. They
definitely.
buy fucking WWE back from TKO because it's failing because TKO thinks they can run a wrestling company. See, that's a storyline. That's a long term thing. That Vince gets the last laugh. So, but to the point of the rub, has TKO helped WWE or has WWE helped TKO? If you look at UFC, I think that when Brock Lesnar went to UFC, he told these guys, he goes, "Man, y'all not talking enough shit. Y'all really not. Y'all don't understand. See, Muhammad Ali, Joe Frazier never got that. Muhammad Ali knew how to talk asses into seats. He said, hey, boo me or cheer me, just pay to see me. Muhammad Ali, unfortunately, because I'm a huge boxing fan, was broke because, they took his boxing license. Joe Frazier gave him money. And then Joe took it as an insult when Ali started talking shit. Well, it was a work. That part of it was. Okay. So when Brock went to the UFC, look how the shit talking has escalated now. Without Brock Lesnar being in the UFC, this cocky little fucker known as Conor McGregor would have never made it. Okay? You got Brock Lesnar, who's 9 feet tall, weighs 1,000,000 pounds,
Exactly.
and can eat a goddamn Sherman tank. Of course, they're going to allow him to talk shit. Then you got Conor McGregor, who weighs about a fucking buck and a half, and they give him a microphone, and he's talking shit. If that's not a heel, I don't know what the hell is. Conor McGregor got it, and then the shit with him and Floyd Mayweather was fucking printing money at the post fight interview. Between them two, they did a toast. They were counting the money. They worked everybody. So the UFC's taken the entertainment value and the shit talking because they interview the fighters a lot more. They let them do press conferences a lot more. That's simply from wrestling, and I think Brock Lesnar kind of smartened them up on that. That these guys are fighters. Let's talk a little shit, whether it's true or not. Let's take a little bit of truth and talk some shit, or let's take a whole lot of truth and talk some shit. I think the biggest mistake that UFC made was not smartening up Khabib. They should have got to him because I've got a lot of Muslim friends, and man, they are, man, the real religious side of them, man, it can't fucking be explained. It can't. They pray 5 times a day. I mean, they are on it. You see what I'm saying? I got nothing but respect for them. They get a bad rap because of the extremists, but Dana, I think, dropped the ball and should have told Khabib, said, "Look, man, you don't understand. This shit ain't personal. It's not." Okay, because Connor said that in the cage when he was beating his ass. It's just business. So Dana should have set them down and told them, said, look, man, he's going to talk more money into your fucking pocket than you've ever seen in your life. But they didn't do that, and Khabib took the shit personal. It wasn't a work. Don't get me wrong. It wasn't a work, but the publicity was a work. The press conference
Yeah,
wise, the
that
shit talking. Ali used to talk shit. They said that Muhammad Ali found out that Sonny Liston was very superstitious. That's long before you were born, 1964. So Sonny Liston come in the room, man. Ali freaked the fuck out like he's nuts. Sonny Liston was so scared of him. They took Muhammad Ali's pulse and it was 52. He didn't
jeez.
freak out. He
It
just went
gets
into
you there.
character. You see what I'm saying? And Ali said he learned that from Gorgeous George. He learned that from wrestling. So, all that shit makes full circle. You find something that works. That's what I've done. I found something that works. I just do it. I've learned a little bit from this one and a little bit from that one and a microscopic thing from this one and a little bit from that one. Any of the shit I'm doing is not new or not unique or not anything. I find out what works and it works. If I try it and it don't work, I don't do it again. So, simple stuff.
About announcing, what's your take on the announcers today, like that are currently in the wrestling business or anywhere or combat?
Nobody sticks out except Bruce Buffer. Tell you a little Bruce Buffer story. People don't have to believe it. Okay. I've got my catchphrase trademarked. It's time. It's time. It's time for the main event of the evening. Three, it's times. This was, I don't know how long ago it was, maybe 12, 14 years. I'm not sure. Long time. 24 years, it's a blur. I was watching a UFC event and I said, what the fuck did Bruce Buffer just say? And he said, it's time. He said it 3 times. So rewind, we were in Western North Carolina. No, I'm sorry, Eastern North Carolina. And we didn't do our due diligence on a tough man town. Economy was horrible. Front page news was a fucking chicken plant had shut down. I'm going, we're fucked. I mean, these people ain't got no money. The big employer, the chicken plant just shut down. So I'd had a couple of drinks and somebody egging me on, and I said, let's get ready to rumble. And somebody caught that on video. You know, Bruce and Michael are half brothers. Okay, they didn't meet till later in life.
That's right.
Okay, and Michael was just an announcer. Bruce is the businessman. You know, he got him trademarking stuff and all this other shit and everything. So I got a little thing from Bruce Buffer on behalf of Michael Buffer, like a little cease and desist order that I can't say that shit no more, which was cool. It was all right. So when I heard
Wow.
that, when he said that shit on TV, and I wished I had saved this picture, I sent him a thing. I dug through my emails and I found it. I said, Bruce, does the cease and disorder sound familiar? I said, it's time, it's time, it's time for the main event of business. And he sent me a picture back doing this. Okay, so now he just goes, it's time. So those are cool little things that I do. But announcing wise, I just try to be as opposite and different than anybody I've ever met. I don't copy anybody's style, and I don't think anybody can follow me. I really don't. I just and if you don't put yourself over, who is going to?
Right.
If you
You
can't tell
gotta sell
everybody as
yourself
good
in
as
order
you
for
are and you
people
can
to
follow
invest.
up with it, you can talk shit and back it up. That ain't talking shit. That's just telling the truth and backing it up.
Exactly.
So
I mean, you gotta learn how to sell yourself in order to get people invested in what you have
got
to
to
say.
sell yourself. You got to realize it's entertainment. People want to be entertained. They don't care about who. When the show sucks, I got to carry it, or somebody's got to carry it. And believe it or not, a lot of times matches suck more than you think. And I still got to put them guys that don't know what the fuck they're doing over. So it is what it is. I'm not there to outshine anybody. I'm out there to put asses in seats just like everybody else is.
For you, when it comes to you and announcing, how do you take care of yourself during a show? Like, do you have to keep yourself? How do you hydrate yourself, or do
Well,
you actually have a snack or
well,
something in between to
I've
kind of
got a
keep you
bad heart.
going?
I've got AFib. I've lived with AFib. I had a stent put in 3 or 4 years ago. Now, whatever the hell it was, I had a big heart attack and all this other stuff. So I drink. I got dementia too, in case you had noticed that. So I stay well hydrated. You know, nibble on stuff. I can't eat a lot because my stomach pushes up into my heart and makes that mess up and all this stuff. I just
Right.
kind of pace myself. When I get out of the ring and I go through the curtain in wrestling, I turn it off. When I come back, I turn it back on. The tough man is probably the most rewarding that I do because the crowds are enormous. The promoter gets me. I've been working with him forever. I think 18 years, and he just gets out of the way and he says, "Hell, I don't have to worry about. I can worry about everything in the building except Bill Hazelwood." So he lets me do what I want, and it works that way. So there's no stress. I try to work in stress-free environments. If a promoter's going to micromanage me and tell me a bunch of shit, I go, "Here, fuck it, you do it." If it's that simple, you get in the ring. Why do you have me here?
Yeah.
Well, I heard you were good. Well, I am good. Get the fuck out of the way. I don't say anything about your booking style. I don't say anything about that chicken shit finish you came up with that made no goddamn sense. Okay. I do what I do. Get out of my way. If you don't get me, don't book me no more. That's cool.
Uh-huh.
I mean, it is what it is. It's nothing personal. If you don't like me, I don't give a shit. I used to tell people this. Here's my opinion. If you've never booked me and you've never paid me, that's a double zero. That's how much I value your opinion of me. Zero, zero. If you don't like me, I don't really give a damn. I don't. I go out of my way to make sure some fucking people don't like me. Okay. So, I mean, but the ones who get me do get me. And the fans that get me get me. Because I've had promoters, I leave and the guy will call me and he goes, "Man, I'm not trying to kiss your ass or anything, but God almighty, man, more people ask where Bill was. Where's Bill? Where's Bill?" He said, "The damn wrestler we off the show, they don't ask where he's at. They ask where you are." I go, "Well, nobody's me. Nobody." Because they say, "Oh, you need to be here or you need to be there." No, I wouldn't work for WWE. I'm not going to take AEW's spot because they got great announcers. They do. My little spot is what I do. So I'm very well blessed. I've saved my money. I work when I want to. I do what I want to. And if you don't like me, fuck it. That's just Bill Hazelwood turning heel.
Right. That's just you.
It is. It
You
is
know, at the
me.
end
It
of the
is
day,
me.
you
Man,
yourself.
I'm how old am I? Damn. See that what dementia does to you? I'm 62, 1962, 72. I'm 60. I forgot how old I am. Isn't that amazing?
I think you mentioned 60, 25, 25. Oh, well, you guys, as you guys may notice, we've been having a really good conversation with Bill here, and it has been such an event here, and I have had such a wonderful time with him.
Bill Hazelwood
And
can't
looks
be
like he's back.
explained, only experienced.
Yes, yes, that is right. I was just telling the audience here how wonderful you've been so far, and it's been such an eye-opening experience here being with you.
Well, I appreciate you having me on, man. We met down there in St. Augustine, and you laughed at my shitty jokes, and
Hey,
we kind of bonded on a
hey,
whole.
somebody's got to laugh at him,
Absolutely. I try to
right?
tell people that's a good thing about playing different towns. I got 12 jokes, but they work in every different town. If we had a route where I did 5 shows in 5 towns every night, I'd get booed out of the building after the third week, and I'd be telling the same jokes over and over and over again. So I found a routine that works, man. I mean, so, but let's talk about this convention. Is that not a phenomenal venue or what?
It's incredible, especially when you walk in, you feel the energy.
Right.
It is off the charts.
Right. I mean, it's, and again, not picking on anybody, but I troll the internet. I look where these guys are having conventions and shit, and there's nothing special. And we were talking the other day, the promoter and I said, look, man, you got to sell this venue more. This is world class. You get on the property, and hell, 3 miles later, you're still not at the hotel. I mean, it's an experience in itself. I mean, it's just unimaginable, the class that's there as far as, the beautiful venue and the golf course. And of course, it's Florida. It's vacation capital of the world. So, and he brings in the star power he brought in was unbelievable. So, I was honored and privileged that he asked me to be part of it. So, I mean, it was just, I couldn't have been happier with the thing. 'Cause I pulled up some venues. I do a lot of the conventions, and most people run a really good convention. Don't get me wrong. There's, the gathering that I've done for forever is in Charlotte. The hotel is great. The promoter is phenomenal. But that,
Yes. No worries, brother. No worries. Yeah, if you guys haven't been to River City Wrestling Con yet, you guys definitely have to go a year and experience it because there's so much that goes on from the talent to the promoters to everybody there. It's just a wonderful time. And if you're a wrestling fan, definitely it's a must.
Yes. I mean, it is. I mean, it's just, they've got beautiful beaches, the resort itself. I left one time and that was just to get a pizza, but it's got everything that you need there. It's all done in that building. It's beautiful. It's air conditioned, got the restaurants. I mean, it's an experience within itself, and so meeting the wrestlers is just, a plus. So it's just unreal.
Would you come back another year next year?
Oh,
Are you
100%.
planning to come
Absolutely.
back?
100% I'd come back. Why wouldn't I? So it's just an unreal thing. Hey, man, I got a thing coming up here in about 2 minutes. Don't want to cut you short, but I'm an important
No
kind of guy.
worries, my friend. Thank you for your time. I truly appreciate it.
Well, thank
Thank you,
you, man,
thank
from the
you.
bottom of my heart. I mean, I tell people this that, I don't do a lot of these things. I do clubs wrestling. I do yours. A lot of guys reach out to me, and I do my due diligence, and I go, they got 6 people and their mother watching this shit. So I mean, Duke put you over, and as that was good enough for me. I mean, because he's got one of
Thank
the
you.
top rated podcasts in the world. So
He does. I've been on there myself.
yes, absolutely. I've seen that. So that's the thing. So I'd love to come back on again and talk about anything you want to talk about, my friend.
Yeah, definitely about this. Next time we'll focus on disability advocacy, which we were talking
Hundred
about earlier
percent.
at the
Yeah,
beginning
that,
of the
that that's
show.
got a
So
special place in my heart. It really does.
yeah,
So not a big thing. I've got to run. I tell you, wrestling fans, man, you guys need to be there next year. Always joke, say, bring a friend, bring a neighbor, bring an enemy, bring your wife, bring your girlfriend. But if you bring your wife and your girlfriend, please make sure they're in different sections. I have seen that cause problems.
yes. Thank you, Bill. I appreciate you, brother.
Okay, buddy.
Have
Peace
a good
out, man.
one. You too.
Was that good?
That was good.